Hey guys, it's me, Holly Madison. Welcome back to my channel. We are back in the closet. I feel like I haven't filmed anything in the closet in so long, so this feels very throwback to me. If you'd hit the like and subscribe, I'd really appreciate it. Today I am doing a Q&A. It is all anonymous questions through the Anonymous Questions app, so some of the questions got a little weird. I got so many good questions from you guys that I think this is going to be a two-parter, and as always, I save the craziest question for last. So let's get going with part one. This feels so old school. I haven't shot a video in my closet in so long. I really feel like I'm throwing it back. So let's get going with the questions. A lot of you asked what is happening with the Down the Rabbit Hole TV series. That's still in production. It hasn't been announced which network / streaming service it's going to be on yet. They haven't announced it yet, so I can't announce it. But I will say I'm really happy. It's at exactly the place I wanted it to be. And they are tweaking the script right now, so I'm really excited about it. It's a very slow process. Actually, the production company that's doing it optioned it way back when my book came out, which was 7 years ago now. And I just feel like it's gonna happen when it happens, and it's gonna be done right. I never really wanted that project to be rushed along or to be done quickly, because there's a lot of like bad TV movies out there that are like based on true events. So, and that's never what I wanted. I wanted it to be a really special project that people would love. So I'm super excited. Somebody asks if I experience the paranormal on a daily basis. I do not. I wish I did. I think that would be a lot of fun. I don't know, maybe I'd need a break if it were daily. That might be a little too much, but I kind of wish I did. I love feeling connected to the spiritual world, and I love just like the fun and mystery that having those experiences brings to my life. Somebody asked, what does my key necklace stand for? I have it on today, it's just hiding. Any special meaning? No special meaning. It's just my boyfriend bought it for me on my birthday, the first year we were together, so it's special. He's given me like a couple different necklaces, but this is the one I wear most often. And there's not really a story behind it. He just told me he picked it out because it reminded him of like a key to a haunted mansion, which of course I love. And you know, it's just light and pretty and little and easy to wear, and I love it. Next question is, what was my favorite fashion, Girls Next Door fashion or Holly's World fashion? If I had to answer right now, I would say Girls Next Door, just because I've been rewatching it and been seeing, you know, all the clothes that I loved, and things were definitely like more costumey and campy, but I love camp and costume. So there's that. Holly's World I haven't watched in so long, so I don't even remember really what I wore. I know I have most of the wardrobe still, at least like the dresses. And it's probably stuff I would still wear today, but also I remember a lot of the casual clothes I would wear, especially on the first season of Holly's World, were so skimpy they were ridiculous. And I remember last time I watched Holly's World was when I was working on the Vegas Diaries, so like 2015, 2016. And I remember when I went back to watch those episodes then, I was shocked at how I was running around in just like these skirts that are like the side of a belt, and literally I just move and my underwear show, or like I'm wearing a bra as a shirt with like a tank top that like hangs way down here. And just the fact, I think the only reason I got away with that is because I lived in Las Vegas. I think anywhere else people would have been like, what are you wearing? But it was just illustrative of where my mind was at after leaving the mansion and like thinking what was appropriate. And when I say appropriate, like there's nothing wrong with dressing that way if you want to dress that way, but I think I just had kind of a skewed idea of maybe like how people would react, or like how much it was really covering, because the stuff was almost like uncomfortably skimpy, like just didn't even like cover enough. Somebody asked what my least favorite ride at Disneyland is. I don't really have one I dislike. I will say that I do still get scared of Tower of Terror, which is now called Guardians Breakout, even though I've been going on it for like 20 years or however long it's been there. I still get nervous about that one. Like my kids are totally fearless. They always want to go on it, and I'm like, ee. Maybe like the submarine ride, just because it's kind of uncomfortable, and I miss the nostalgia. Even though the effects with the Finding Nemo version are really cute, I miss the nostalgia of like the sea serpent and the mermaids and stuff like that. I used to really love that ride as a kid. Somebody asked, Holly, do you have pictures of the mansion that show us the whole house? I still can't figure out how it's laid out from the inside. Well, I don't have a picture of that. Like, it'd be impossible to have a photograph like that, really. But inside, down the rabbit hole, on the end pages, when you open the cover up, there's a map of the mansion and how it's laid out. Because when I was writing the book, my editor was like, I can't figure out where the rooms are. Like, we really need a map in the beginning. So it's there. I think it's really cute. Somebody asked what TV show I'm watching at the moment. I just finished Stranger Things, just like everybody else. Love that show. I just started Candy, which I love, with Jessica Biel on Hulu. I love period pieces, and I love how it's set in like 1980, and it looks so just real. Like every detail, everything's all brown, and like it reminds me of like the E.T. movie when they're in the kitchen at the beginning. Like that's the whole look. But my favorite show that I loved recently, if you haven't watched it, you should check it out, is Winning Time on HBO. It's all about the Lakers, when Jerry Buss first bought the Lakers, and Magic Johnson and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar were on the team. It's such a great show. Somebody asks, I notice you go to a med spa often. What do you get done there? I usually say in my posts what I get done. I go to Advanced Aesthetics in Las Vegas, and I go every couple of months for Botox with Jeff, and I try to go once a month for a facial. And I get all kinds of different facials. I love IPL. That's like the laser facial that takes away like sun damage and discoloration. I love to try like Clear and Brilliant, micro needling. Some of them aren't so pleasant, but I like to try those just for like skin quality. And it's hard to schedule because I'm not in Las Vegas all the time. And I go to Courtney and she only works on Mondays. So sometimes it's hard to schedule. So sometimes I don't make it in every month, but I try to get in once a month for a facial. This is a good one. What do people assume about you that you wish they didn't? I mean, the first thing that comes to my mind is like people always assume I'm a gold digger, but that doesn't really bother me anymore. Like I know where it's coming from and it's just not true. I'm trying to think like what assumption do I wish people didn't have? I think the assumptions that bother me most are kind of the fiction that was created right after I left Girls Next Door by like Hef and sometimes Kendra and Kevin Burns, the producer of the show, who really had it out for me after I left. And, you know, people always want to create this narrative that like I left Hef because he wouldn't get married, which wasn't the case. Or Kevin, the producer, used to write like open letters to the message board saying things about me that were not true. So I think a lot of assumptions about me that stem from kind of that BS is frustrating just because it was so long ago that I can't believe, you know, those assumptions still stick around. So that's kind of annoying. And also when Girls Next Door first came out, there were some women who used to be girlfriends and used to live at the house that Bridget and I didn't get along with. And, you know, after they left, they saw the show come out and clearly were triggered. So they would jump on message boards or like write things and start rumors. And just the fact that any of those rumors have stuck around at all bothers me. It's just annoying that things have stuck around for so long, and just knowing where they came from and like the motivations behind it is just super annoying. I get this question a lot. People ask if I would ever do Real Housewives, and the answer is absolutely no. Like I know obviously some people have been doing that show for years and are making a lot of money and thriving, but there's also so many like disaster stories and ruined marriages and ruined relationships, and it just looks like unpleasant drama. And I'm like, is it worth it? I kind of have Arrested Development. I'm kind of still like a kid inside. Like I'm not really concerned about like throwing fancy parties or wearing designer clothes. I would be a complete misfit on that. I just wouldn't want to do it. And I have no desire to like showcase my private life. I have no desire to put my kids on TV. I have no desire to put my relationship on TV. It's just not interesting to me. A lot of people ask if Zach and I are back together. Yeah, we've been back together for a long time now. I get asked a lot if I look differently at Mary O'Connor now. Mary O'Connor was Hef's secretary, who I was really close to, if you don't know. And there were some things said about her on Secrets of Playboy that I think made the audience think she was a really bad person, and that wasn't my experience with her. We were really close. Although, and this isn't because of Secrets of Playboy, this is because of other discussions I've had and other research I've done into things that other women who lived at the house have said. But I have discovered that there were times when I was thrown under the bus by Mary or other people in the office, because their concern was always protecting Hef. So like if one of the other girlfriends came and had a complaint, or they were confronting one of the other girlfriends about something, they wouldn't want to say, oh, Hef wouldn't want you to have that, or Hef thinks you might have a boyfriend. They would throw me under the bus. But yeah, it's definitely opened my eyes to more aspects of the drama and where like some of the drama originated from. Because I'm telling you, when I lived there and there were 7 girls, it was just so much drama. And it's taken me this long to even figure out like where the hatred was coming from, and like, oh my god, why did they hate me so much? Somebody asked what my top 3 favorite places to shop for clothes are, and I don't really. I just buy random clothes online that come up on my Instagram feed that I like. Like if I'm ever, I can't even remember the last time I've been in a mall, but I used to like to go to Hot Topic to just get like fangirl stuff, like Harry Potter clothes or whatever. I don't enjoy shopping. Somebody asks if I ever get jealous of my ex's girlfriend spending time with my kids. Absolutely not. Like, I think she's a great person. I love that she's so great with my kids. I would be sad if he was dating somebody who was like aloof or, you know, not welcoming to my kids. You know, they're my first priority. And I don't have any kind of, do you like my broken curling iron, by the way? And I don't have any kind of ego as far as like always having to be seen as like the favorite parent, whether it's by them or other people, or always having to be seen as like doing the most. And just what's best for them is my biggest concern. I'm not like one of those people who's like, I don't want anybody else to be seen holding hands with my kids, or you know what I mean? Like, and I've known people on the other side of that too. Like, I have friends who try really, really hard to be a positive influence and to be a part of like their significant other's kids' lives, and like the ex-wife or whoever, you know, the mom of that kid is just not open to it, and, you know, is hateful and just tries to stand in the way. And I'm like, why would you start all that drama? Like, I get it if there was like a bad person involved, you didn't want your kids around, but that's not the case. So somebody asked, why were there photos in Down the Rabbit Hole and not the Vegas Diaries? I don't know. They just didn't ask me for photos for the Vegas Diaries. It's probably less expensive to print a hardcover book without that picture section. And I think that's pretty normal. Like, I think around that time, a lot of like celebrity memoirs would have, you know, pictures with the first book. And then when they wrote the sequel, the second book wouldn't have those. I don't know. They just didn't ask. But I didn't have any burning need to put pictures in there, because a lot of the things I was talking about were dating, and it was really, what was important to me about dating was like the stories and what I learned from those stories. It wasn't about outing anyone I dated, and I had to jump through so many hoops just to disguise people's identities, like changing their name and their occupation and where I might have met them and things like that. But I mean, I wouldn't obviously want to post a picture. I don't know. I didn't have any desire to put pictures in there. I included a few pictures from my Vegas era in Down the Rabbit Hole as well. So they didn't ask. I didn't care to put pictures in there. Somebody asked what my top 3 podcasts were. My favorite is Call Her Daddy. I listen to Joe Rogan a lot because when I drive back and forth from Vegas to LA, his podcasts are really long and interesting, so they take up most of the drive. It's hard to narrow it down to 3. Obviously, I listen to Bridget's podcast, Ghost Magnet. As far as like paranormal, another one of my favorite podcasts is called Hollow Sky, HOLOSKY. It's a really good one. They tell really good stories. For true crime, I love Morbid and The First Degree. So it's hard to narrow it down to a top 3. If I was going to make a top 3, I think You Must Remember This would also be in it. That is a really great podcast about classic film, and it was probably the first podcast I started listening to. I listen to a lot of podcasts now, and I think that was the first one that really caught my attention and really started getting me listening to podcasts. Somebody asked what made you decide to be Hef's #1 girlfriend. I wasn't really behind the decision. When I moved in, I thought I would be there maybe like 6 months to a year. My eyes look funny now with just the bottom. I never thought I would be the main girlfriend, simply because he had had 2 different main girlfriends before me, and they had always been the oldest of the group. So I always kind of assumed like the main girlfriend was supposed to be the oldest one or something. And when I moved in, I was the youngest, so I never even thought that would be an option or anything. But then like Hef and the other girls started talking about it and mentioning it to me. And I was surprised and kind of flattered, because you're brand new and you think, oh, he wants me to be the main girlfriend? Oh, wow. But really, you know, looking back, it was because nobody else wanted to do it, because they'd been there longer than me and they knew that there was a lot more responsibility. You were on a shorter leash. You were always like under the microscope. And I remember asking when one of the other girls mentioned to me, oh, I think you're going to be the next main girlfriend. I'm like, why does he have to have a main girlfriend? I don't get it. And they're like, oh, you know, just somebody to like order his drinks for him and stuff like that. I don't think I ever ordered a drink for him. But even after I was put in the main girlfriend position, I still didn't think that meant like a life sentence, you know? I still thought, because what I had seen before with the two main girlfriends who had like come before me, what I knew about them was that they had stayed like 1.5 years for one of them and 2 years for the other. So I just didn't think it meant any more of a commitment, really. What is one thing you can't live without? Rosebud Salve. When I don't have this in my purse or in my car, it drives me nuts. This is the best lip balm. And as you know, I live in Vegas part-time, so I get dry lips a lot. Somebody asked, what do I look for in a partner and what are my personal icks? That's too many things to list. Like, I remember I was doing like this manifestation course about all kinds of different things, and one of it was like a love manifestation, like right before I met my current boyfriend, and they have you write a list of like everything that's important to you in a partner. So I wrote a list of like 30 things and then manifested somebody that hits like almost every single one. So it's way too many to mention here. I will mention one I remember writing, because I wrote it in like big letters with exclamation points, is you must love dogs. Like, I didn't want anybody who was like grossed out about dogs. You know what I mean? I think there's a rom-com called that, Must Love Dogs. And personal icks, I don't know, there are so many. Like, I only really had one period in my life where I was kind of like single and dating, and that was the years when I was doing my show in Vegas. And it's like people would reach out to me, like, or meet me through friends of theirs, and they like had wanted to meet me because they're seeing me like in billboards all over town, and like they know who I am, like I was on TV at that time. But then like later down the road, they try to act like they have a big problem with it. And it's like, don't go picking girls off of billboards if you don't want a girl that people know. Oh my God, so I saved like the grossest question for last. So somebody asked, how many guys did you have to sleep with just to get into the mansion? Okay, 0. And nobody really, I mean, maybe somebody did somewhere, but nobody really has to. Like, to get invited to a mansion party back in the day, you would just like send in a picture. Like, if you just knew who to send the picture into, like this was back in the day when the internet was nothing. You couldn't like go to a Reddit thread and figure out, you know, how do I get invited to a Playboy mansion party? Like, I think the hardest thing was just to know who do you actually send the picture into and where do you send it, or that that's even an option. But that was all it took. Like, you just got accepted based off of looks. You didn't have to sleep with anybody to get in. So those are my questions. I will probably see you next week for the rest of these questions for my little 2-parter. But thank you for submitting all the questions, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye.